Hello and welcome back to another episode of Exos Heroes Hero Spotlight. And today, and for the rest of this week, we're going to be focusing on Chaos heroes within the Fated tier. So we're going to kick it off with the Trickster, Jinai. So she is an AoE dot-centered hero with some mana generation utility and a consistently useful debuffing passive with two unique synergies with other strong heroes. So let's take a quick look before we jump into the details. So obviously, like we mentioned, she's a fated hero with a nature element. But with that being said, let's take a quick look at her skills.
Sure, so like every other hero, Jinai has a basic attack. Hers does between 498 to 599 damage to a single target. Her A1, Dark Night Glow, costs 1 mana and is an AoE attack that deals 51% damage to all enemies, with the additional effect of poisoning the target, dealing 31% damage every turn for 2 turns. Her A2, Welcoming Shirosaku, deals 178 damage to all enemies, and also comes with the overtime effect of poisoning the target, this time dealing 62% damage every turn for 4 turns. Now, if we take a look at her passive, she has Mana Absorb 3, removes 1 buff of an enemy and gains 1 mana, gains 1 additional mana if the health of the target is at 80% or more, and remove 1 mana from the target and gain 1 mana for herself if the health of the target is at 30% or less. She also has Flow of Mana, which gives back row allies permanently 1 mana, and Charm, which is her unique passive, and this afflicts enemies with lower attack than her with the charm mark that decreases their attack speed by 30. And this is significant. We'll talk about why in a little bit.
So while Jinai on the surface, she seems to be kind of a low damage hero, but actually, due to her dot effects on both of her skills, it's more of a slow burn with a decent amount of damage spread across several turns. And it's even more effective against a full team given that her second ability has AoE component to it. It's clear to see that her niche when attacking is a full team AoE and dot damage focused. However, due to her mana absorb and flow of mana passive, she actually has decent utility as well. And all the mana she generates lets her use her skills a lot more often, as well as her teammates to use their skills a lot more often. And also one thing to point out with the AoE dot damage, it also functions as a great way to break Guardian Stones, given that each tick of the dot damage can break an additional Guardian Stone. And lastly, let's talk a little bit about her leader skill, Charm. So this is a passive leader skill that's unique to Jinai, and the effect of it cannot be understated. It's pretty straightforward in that it lowers attack speed. And that by itself doesn't sound too significant until you realize that most heroes' attack speed are clustered around the tiers of 30 attack speed, 50, 70, and 100. And what this means is that if Jinai charms an enemy, that will knock them down roughly by an entire tier in terms of attack speed. And that has pretty significant ramifications, especially in PvP scenarios. And given that Jinai is an attack-focused hero with pretty high attack, she can proc this passive on quite a lot of heroes, especially on frontline heroes that already have low attack speed. It's also important to understand how this could affect the turn order, especially if you set up your team in a specific attack speed threshold in order to force a certain pattern of moves. Jinai could just charm random members of your team. This is especially the case given that she has high attack as a Chaos hero. The chances are high that she will be able to charm several of your lower attack heroes. And lastly, the charm passive also synergizes well with Jing and Shell. So when you have those heroes coupled with Jinai, they could have additional abilities that further cripples the rest of the enemy's team. Especially with Jing, and his ability to provide silence against enemy heroes is especially valuable in PvP situations. So overall, Jinai's kit doesn't seem as threatening as Bathory or Rachel, but it speaks to her disarming persona and having a bit more power than you could expect at first glance. And overall, that's it for us today. If you have any other thoughts on Jinai, please let us know in the comments. To see more Exos Heroes related reviews, feel free to check out our other content. And lastly, if you like this video, please feel free to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Peace.